Hey everybody, welcome back. I know what you're thinking. Is this real? Or is this just some kind of a replay from a previous season? No. This is the year 2015, and this is the Week 7 preview show to Turnpike Fantasy Football. It's only taken me half a season to get up the muster to do one of these things. But let me tell you something, I feel good. I haven't felt good the past couple weeks. I'm not going to blame it all on not feeling good. A lot of it had to do with the fact that somebody had to have the draft in the beginning. I'm not going to go down that road. It's over. It's over. I'm feeling good. The season's halfway through. There's all kinds of fun things going on. A trade even went down today between Rob Giannoni's Cosby's Sleepers and Jeff Szymanski's Paper Tigers. It was a decent trade for a change. Jeff really didn't rape somebody. It was actually a very valuable trade. He got Rob Gronkowski, giving up A.J. Green and Carlos Hyde. It's exciting. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I got a lot to say. A lot of pent-up energy from the past 6 weeks, watching my team scratch and claw into something. My team actually won this week with the lowest score for a winning team in Turnpike to Turnpike in years. Most of the teams in this place, sorry, as I just kind of undo that. Sorry, very unprofessional of me. I haven't had the polish. I'm not polished up as I normally am. But anyway, enough of that stuff. Let's get to last week's games, and let's talk about this upcoming week as well. First up last week, we had Matt Dreyfus's Fishtown off in a corner, taking on Deputy Commissioner Chris Long's Asgardian Thunder Gods. And Matt won this one to move his win streak to 3 games, 128 to 124. Matt got 31 points out of DeAndre Hopkins, 28 points out of Blake Bortles, and 16 points out of Travis Benjamin. Where Chris got 33 points out of Andrew Luck, 24 points out of Greg Olson, and 13 points out of Giovanni Bernard. Not bad. In another match from last week, we had, really, these were all really high-scoring games, except for the last one we're going to talk about. But in this one, we had the Deputy Commissioner's son, Greg Long, taking on Rob Giannoni's Cosby Sleepers, and Greg won this one 132 to 125. Greg got 33 points out of Emmanuel Sanders, 32 points out of Devonta Freeman. Out of nowhere, this guy came. You know what? If the draft happened tomorrow, Devonta Freeman would be probably a top 3 draft pick. Crazy. And 24 points out of Andy Dalton. Where Rob, you got 27 points out of Carson Palmer, 22 points out of LeGarrette Blount, and 22 points out of Lamar Miller. And in another matchup, again, of pretty high scoring from last week, we had Mike Bonds, DeMarco DiPolo taking on Jeffrey Hezekiah Golden Bombs, Hamilton Square Possum. Mike Bond won this one 110 to 98. Mike got 25 points out of the returning Alshon Jeffrey, 22 points out of DeMarco Murray, and 18 points out of Ryan Tannehill. Where Jeff, you got a massive 39 points out of Phillip Rivers' humongous effort on Sunday where he threw for over 500 yards. You also got 15 points out of Anquan Bolden and 11 points out of Marshawn Lynch. And in a match that I know everybody had their eye on between Brian Sheehan's Brady's Ball Deflators and Little Bobby Crane's Julius Jones, Brian gets the better of Bob this time, 101 to 96. Brian got 30 points out of Chris Ivory, 28 points out of Tom Brady, and 19 points out of Jimmy Graham. Where Bobby, you got 21 points out of Aaron Rodgers, 20 points out of Keenan Allen, and 14 points out of Robbie Gould. In the next match, we have really one of the surprising stories of the league this season. It's really one of the things that I just wanted to touch on as we're moving forward into the season, and I'm starting to do these again. And that is Aaron Stampa's Team Snoozy Loaf taking on John Moore's Downingtown Grandpas. And Aaron wins this one to push his record to 5-1. This is after winning 1 game last season. He is now 5-1, owner of the best record and highest point total in the league. He wins this one 115 to 94. He got 20 points out of the Denver Broncos defense, 17 out of Mark Ingram, and 16 points out of Matt Forte. Where John, you got 27 points out of Calvin Johnson, 25 points out of Jay Cutler, and 11 points from Steven Gostkowski. And in really a slugfest of gargantuan proportions from last week, the two heavyweights, two playoff combatants from last season. My Warriors of Babylon took on Jeff Szymanski's Paper Tiger, and I won this one 73-68. I got 20 points out of Brandon Marshall, 13 points out of the Minnesota Vikings defense, and a whopping 12 points out of Sam Bradford. Not much, but it was enough to get me over the hump on that Monday night game, where Jeff, you got 18 points out of Peyton Manning, 16 points out of Arian Foster, and 12 points from Odell Beckham Jr. So that's it, guys. That was last week. And again, like I said, I want to point out how great, Aaron, you're doing. Rob, you got off gangbusters in the beginning. You've kind of hit a slide now. You're kind of struggling. We've got a bunch of teams at the top at 5-1. We got some guys in the middle at 3-3, and then we got a bunch at the bottom. And then we got Jeffariah Hezekiah Goldenbaum at 1-5. After his start, I thought he was one of the favorites to win this. He's got some work to do to get back up into contention. So, I wanted to talk about a couple things before I jump into next week's matchups. Number one is this flapping of the gums that Brian Sheehan all of a sudden has when he's talking about his team. This team, he drafted this team by there. It just happened to be the team, the member on his list that he was going to pick next. He had no plan. He didn't come into this draft with a plan. The fact that he thought he was going to get Tom Brady in the draft, he happened to be there because everybody else passed on him. Chris Ivory, he happened to be the running back on his list at the time he was picking a running back. Jimmy Graham, he's had one good game. Come on. Brian, we'll see how you do as the season progresses. There's still plenty of time for you to manage yourself out of a playoff position. Aaron Stampa, walking around the office, talking football. I haven't heard him talk football one time in the entire time I've known him. Now all of a sudden, he's like Phil Simms talking strategy around the office. It's crazy. One friggin' season, and he's become a master prognosticaster. Prognosis? Whatever. I don't know what the hell it is, but all I know, it's not you, Aaron. That's for damn sure. Anyway, this is fun, guys. I've missed doing this. Maybe I'll do it again next week. Not making any promises. Maybe I'll do Meet the Manager. I don't know. I don't even know what the graphics are going to look like. I'm going to wing this whole thing over the next 24 hours. I just felt the urge to talk and vent and like spew some of this verbal diarrhea that I like to have every once in a while. Okay. This coming week, one of my favorite matches always is my Warriors of Babylon will take on Jeffariah Hezekiah Goldenbaum's Hamilton Square Possums. Always fun to take on Jeff. This is going to be a big match. Right now, I know you're projected to win it. We'll see how it goes. John Moore's at Downingtown Grandpa's taking on Jeff Szymanski's Paper Tiger. The newly acquired Rob Gronkowski on Jeff Szymanski's Paper Tiger. So, John, you're going to have to take that on right away. The aforementioned Brian Sheehan's Brady's Ball Deflator taking on Team Snoozy Loaf. And really a great match. I didn't even realize this until I'm looking down at it right now. Two 5-1 teams. Really, really great game. I can't wait to see how that one turns out when Aaron takes on Sheesh. Deputy Commissioner Chris Long is taking on Bobby Crane when the Asgardian Thunder Gods meet Julius Jones. A 3-3 team taking on a 2-4 team. Also, we've got, I'm sorry, again, unprofessional, unready for this season. I'm not ready for this season. This is just a whole new thing for me. We've got Rob Giannoni's Cosby Sleepers taking on DeMarco DePolo in a 2-4 and 3-3 match. Mike Bond taking out Rob Giannoni. And then in the last match from this week, we had Greg Long's Mount Laurel Lancers taking on Matt Dreyfus's Fishtown Off in a Corner, 5-1 taking on 3-3. All right, guys, that's it. I hope this was quick enough. I hope you're excited that I'm a little bit more energized about this season. This is good. It's fun. Fantasy football's supposed to be fun. That's why I've got all the stuff in my basement and these lights, everything else. That camera right there to have fun. I haven't been having a lot of it this season. But you know who has been having fun this season? A little birdie out there told me that our newest league member, Rob Giannoni, might have popped a certain question. We'll find out more about that next week. Until then, I'm League Commissioner Kevin Mabula. You know what time it is. Bye!